Our regular council meeting at March 22nd at 4:30. And I have a few announcements to give everyone. So the first one is the RCMP are doing an opioid presentation on Tuesday, tomorrow night, and all the information is on the Town of Drumheller Facebook page. So go ahead and check that out. Some have seen it, and it's an incredible information source, so please take the time. Tomorrow at 7 p.m., the Chamber of Commerce is having their annual general meeting, so that if you're a member, you can register to be involved in the meeting and vote. So if you have that, you should get involved. Thirdly, I wanted to just share with you the C-Click Fix app. So right now there's elm trees, and before the season ends, we're encouraging residents to submit any elm trees on public property that need trimming. So if you haven't got the app, please download the C-Click Fix app. All the instructions, you take the picture, it sees the location, and you can submit it. So this includes like parks, pathways, boulevards, and it automatically sends that information to our public works team, who then can prioritize the trees for trimming. Because elm's trimming season ends on March 31st and it doesn't return again until October 1st. So we're trying to get as many of these dealt with in this period of time. So please, if you're out there walking or see them on town property, please report them. And finally, I would like to just talk a little bit about flood mitigation. I had a couple conversations with some people yesterday that weren't aware of all the resources that are available to give people information. So I just want to kind of read out what's available that you can access to find flood mitigation. So first one is you can go to drumheller.ca, click on flood readiness. It's a big yellow button on the home page on the top right. That will link you right to the flood readiness page, and it's dedicated to everything about flood mitigation. Also, you can sign up for the newsletter that will go straight to your inbox every time a newsletter goes out. We have included posters and flyers in utility bills. There's a Drumheller Alert social media that is on Facebook, Instagram, IGTV, and Twitter. Almost daily posts are made on there to keep people informed. Drumheller Alert has YouTube has tons of information dedicated to flood mitigation that explains a lot of great things in depth. The town of Drumheller also has social media pages with Facebook, Instagram, Twitter that also share a lot of flood mitigation. Council gives regular updates on flood mitigation at least 2 times a month. You will see Darwin come and update us. We publish information in the Drumheller Mail weekly. There's information both on 99.5 as well as Real Country 910. We hosted 60 neighborhood updates that were specific to information on the land use bylaw and the MDP. There's been information at farmers markets, expos, and we've also have interactive displays up at the BCF for those who are using the facilities. So I just want everybody to understand that communication is a two-way street, and we can only give, those are every channel and every avenue that we possibly have figured out how to send information out. And if you've got other ways that you figure that we can get it there, we're more than willing to listen. We just want people to be informed. And when I talked to these people yesterday, a lot of this stuff they hadn't researched or seen. So please, if you are, like many of our counselors are sharing the information on their pages, those who are on social media, as well as if you can inform your friends and family that to go to these channels. I just don't know how else to get it out there. We've done everything, every avenue we possibly can. So I'm more than open to, and if you either reach out to me or any counselor, or if you can come up with another idea that we can get the information. Say, we keep sharing and we keep giving, and obviously we're missing out on a percentage of people. But like I say, a communication channel has to go both ways. So we ask you to please check all the information. The next thing I would like to announce is that the cancellation of the March 29th Committee of the Whole meeting. And now I will go into adoption of the agenda. So can I get a motion to adopt the agenda of March 22nd, please? Tom, second. Jay, any additions or deletions? All in favor? Carried. I'd like a motion to adopt the minutes of the March 8th, 2021 council meeting, please. Tony, Christine, all in favor? Carried. And now I'd like to move on to 5.1.1, Daryl, the operating budget, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. So we are going to do two things tonight, or we hope to. So at special council meeting last week, we talked about the 2021 budget and 22 to 24 estimates. And I think there was a request at that meeting that we make the 22 to 24 estimates balance to zero. So we have done that using amortization for the short term, knowing that, of course, that we have to revisit that every year as we update our stuff. So I just want to, okay, sorry about that. Apparently my sound isn't that great. Apologize for that. So we are looking to do two things. One, I think by all the excitement last week, we started passing a bylaw. So we did first reading and second reading of a bylaw, which of course we don't have a bylaw to adopt the operating budget. So what we're looking for is we want to rescind motion M2021.53 due to a procedural error. So if we can get a motion to do that first, please.
Sure, can I get a motion, please, Tony?
I'll make a motion that council rescind motion M2021.53 due to a procedural error.
Seconder Tom, comments? All in favor? Carried.
Okay, and so the next thing is that a motion that council moves to adopt the 2021 tax support operating budget, having a municipal requisition of $9,008,330, along with the draft 2022 to 2024 tax supported operating financial plan as presented. So there's a hopeful clerical error to say that we're going to pass the 2044 tax supported, but we don't get that lucky. So so I'm not sure if there's any questions but I guess make the motion first, and then if there's any questions or discussion, please.
Thanks, Daryl. Can I get a motion on the floor, please? Someone?
I will, Your Worship.
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I move that council adopt the 2021 tax supported operating budget, having a municipal requisition of $9,008,330, along with the draft 2022 to 2024 tax supported operating financial plan as presented and attached.
Right, Fred is seconding, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Yeah, Fred seconds.
Yeah.
Sorry. Any comments or questions of anybody? Go ahead, Jay.
Just a comment, Your Worship, in case people missed it last week. This budget is being passed with a 0% tax increase, which is extraordinary and unfortunately something not to get used to. That we have to reiterate that this is special circumstances after an extraordinary year where, even though there were significant expenditures to try to cope with what COVID brought, there was also significant savings in departments and facilities that weren't able to open during the same time period. And so I think we need to again congratulate the finance team under Lynn, who was able to pull this budget process together. I know they used a very sharp pencil with all department heads in trying to get them to bring as few new asks forward as possible. And I know that council is grateful that we saw progressions in expense that were commonsensical, that any errors were swiftly dealt with, and that we're bringing forward a balanced budget again this year, but doing whatever we can to try to lessen the burden on our local taxpayers when we know that so many of them are still hurting because life is far from back to normal for them and will still be not normal for the rest of this year in all likelihood.
Thank you. Tom, go ahead.
Oops.
Yeah, I'd just like to mention, just to also reiterate that people have to realize that the expense of doing business goes up every year. So everything that we did last year costs more to do this year. And so doing a 0% increase is more like a minus 2% increase. I don't know, Daryl could comment on, just approximately how much it costs more every year. But just to do a zero, I think people have to realize that it's actually less than zero.
Anybody else? All right.
So I just wanted to jump in one thing. I echo Jay's comments to thank Lynn on this. So Lynn actually, other than capital budget work, she's now getting free and clear for this because we now have our new Director of Corporate Services in place, and so which I'll introduce in a minute. But yeah, just yeoman's work that Lynn has done over the last number of weeks to be able to get this to the place where we are today to get it adopted. So I appreciate that. It's amazing work that you've done, Lynn. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right, well, thanks again, everybody, and all in favor. Carried. All right, let's move on to 5.1.3, please, Daryl.
Sure. Actually, just before we do that, just because I told him I would, is I wanted just to introduce Mauricio Reyes to our team, so everyone can get a look at him. And so, Mauricio, do you want to just have a little introduction of yourself there for a second?
Thank you, Daryl. Good evening, Council. I want to say that I'm glad to have joined the town of Drumheller. It is my first day, so as you would imagine, lots of things to learn, lots of names to remember. But regardless, it's been a good day for me. I'm starting to get to know the team, and I'm really glad to have joined this organization and look forward to working with administration and to help council achieve your strategic objectives.
Great. I think no one's more excited about your arrival than Lynn, who I believe was doing cartwheels down Center Street on Saturday. So,
well, on behalf of council, we would like to welcome you, Mauricio, and we're looking forward to having you work with us. And it's great to have you on board. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Okay, so Daryl, we'll move on to 5.1.3, please.
So this is a motion to have an extended leave of absence to Councillor Lisa Hansen-Zacharek. And so Council has done this a few times in the past. So as part of the MGA requirements, we can only extend a council's paid leave for, or actually it's unpaid leave as well, for 8 weeks before you have to either make a decision or the person has to resign. And of course, in this case, the idea is that she's away due to medical reasons. And so we're looking to have an extension for 8 more weeks for Lisa before she comes back to council, or less. So,
Jake, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. As a result, be it resolved that council extend the leave of absence with pay for 8 weeks for Councillor Hansen-Zacharek due to medical reasons.
Seconder Tom, comments? All in favor? Carried. And Lisa, we hope that you keep pledging along. We're all behind you, and we're excited for you, and all of us are here if you ever need. So thanks. All right, let's move on to 5.1.4, please, Daryl.
Thank you. So this is an appointment to the Municipal Planning Commission. So we had put out a request for people to volunteer. So we have a couple of members of MPC whose terms were actually over their allotted time. And so we've had a person named Arthur Erickson approach us and apply. So Arthur has some interest in, or has interest in this position, has some experience in this area. We've had a couple discussions, and it's been forwarded to MPC, of which they wholeheartedly supported the recommendation to have council appoint him for a 3-year term.
Tom, can you make a motion, please?
Yeah, I move the council approve the appointment of Arthur Erickson for the Municipal Planning Commission for a 3-year term expiring March 2024.
Seconder, please. Fred, comments? All in favor? Carried. All right, let's move down to 5.2.1. Darwin, can we please get a flood update?
Thank you, Your Worship, members of council. Quite a few things going on with regard to flood mitigation, and a lot of the detailed planning and implementation as we continue. Funding with the federal government, we continue to have meetings with them and work out different strategies and understandings with them as to the overall program and what's shareable and what's not. We have had some high-level meetings in that regard, and we'll continue to have some. The provincial government and their new One and Done program, again, lots of discussions at very senior levels with the bureaucracy on just how equitable it is in a community like Drumheller to make us responsible for the 90-10 or the 10% of any future responses, but more critically that the citizens would only be allowed to ever claim up to 500,000 and never claim after a one claim has been done. So establishing exemption for Drumheller is probably very critical that we pursue that, and Mayor Kohlberg is working to that end, and I'm sure the rest of council will join with working with the MLAs and MPs as appropriate. Our utility companies, we're at that stage where we need them to advise us of their emergency response plans. It's not okay to just deal with those kind of things if and when it happens in a program of this magnitude. We want the utility companies to identify those areas that are hazards if we're having to adapt our dikes and they have power lines on top of the dikes, if they have switches on the power system that could maybe moved a block or two, or in the case of gas, if they have regulator stations in areas that are going to flood, how is the recovery happen? Council has heard me use the term that we need to awfulize things to be able to contemplate a response in the future, and some of the things that come to mind are ice coming over the dikes and or flooding behind them, and how we manage the natural gas supply, or how we turn things like power on and off as we evacuate the community. Those things we'll identify and try to establish a order of magnitude cost, and then through the means of the franchise agreements, ask that they continue to pay for those and invoke those changes, rather than use up the meager grant dollars that I just talked about to pay what the power and or gas company can pay and return and get rate of return on. The tree program, obviously we need to wait for the frost to be out of the ground before we can start planting trees, but it's well underway, our strategies and typing and tenders and working with the penitentiary to reorganize the tree farm program. COVID has pretty much wiped out any opportunity to enter the facility and work with them on that, but we're reacquainting and rediscovering how we might be able to do that. We're also grubbing the roots and stumps throughout the system. It's just, you cannot build new or enhance existing dikes on top of organic material. It's just, we don't do that. So we're where the opportunity presents, we're taking it out. There's been lots of people say, "Oh my God, those are keeping the banks in place." Yeah, in part, but we have to build new, so we got to make sure that that stuff's out of the way so it doesn't become a problem and reduce the integrity of the new facilities. Owner discussions are happening with probably about 40 to 60 of the affected landowners. Total number would be about 130 that we have to talk to. We're going to talk with those folks first before we go talking to people that are nearby or down the block, and make sure that we engage them on a need-to-know basis so that they can fully understand what impacts are on them. Assessment is occurring on the CN right-of-way. Many folks will know that the CN right-of-way can hold back some of the water. We need to make sure that that is the case, in particularly in the Wayne Valley, the Cambria area, Rosedale, Newcastle, and in Willow Estates. We need to assess the integrity of the embankments to ensure that we can use them as part of the system. So with that, in a manner like what we did with the provincial diking systems last fall, where we had to clean them off, we're in the process of cleaning the vegetation off of the CN diking, so that, or CN embankments, so we can assess their suitability for use as flood embankments. Your Worship, that's about all I have right now. There's certainly lots of communication that you described and sources for it, and I know there's been some really great videos that yourself and some of the design engineers have put together of recent, and yeah, as much information as we can have flowing, we're making it happen. So,
Thanks, Darwin.
I'll try to answer them.
Questions, anyone? No, I think going back to those videos and all the videos, and that's why I encourage anybody that's listening, there's a ton of information out there. And we just ask you to, before you listen to the rumor mills or this kind of thing, just check with all the things available to you. And if the answers aren't there, there's also phone numbers and email addresses there that you can email or call to the appropriate parties to get the right information. So please try and avoid listening to just what's going on, get the facts, and we all want to make sure this is a viable project for everyone. Tom, you got something to add?
Yeah, I was just going to ask about the black knot. I know walking along the tracks, Newcastle to Knackmine or whatever, man, it's just tons of it. And so when you encounter that, you have to be a little bit more careful, do you not, in disposing that stuff?
Trying to find my unmute button here. Can you hear me, Tom?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of unfortunate that there's so much black knot along there. It requires special handling. So as a result, we're having to deal with it, put it into bins, tarp the bins, and destroy it by burning throughout. I guess the reverse or analog of that is that that's going to take a big part of the black root out of the, or black knot out of the main stem of the valley, and allow people on private property to at least try and get a fighting chance on their own. But there's a terrific amount of it. In our assessment, it's requiring us to do a lot of extra work, but I guess as a benefit of the program, we're able to deal with that in some measure, and hopefully try and reduce its impact. I don't know that we'll ever eradicate it in the valley, but it's certainly something that CN line has probably caused some problems with in the past.
Anybody else? Okay, Darwin, well, thanks so much for that update. And we will move on to 5.3.1. Greg, do you want to give us a COVID update, please?
Actually, I'm just going to do that for Greg tonight.
Greg on here.
Oh, yeah, sorry, Greg's not here tonight, Your Worship. I've given the update instead, so.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Darwin.
Yeah, so just a couple of, I guess, 3 key points. So the province announced this afternoon that they were not moving to step 3 of the 4-step plan. So the numbers are trending upwards, unfortunately. So the numbers of cases, variants, the R value, which we've talked about before, is now well above the 1.0. It's at 1.14, I think, across the province. In Calgary's especially high, 1.23, I think, which means basically that it's in an infectious rate of spread. There are 61 cases in Drumheller right now, and I think there was a bit of confusion the last couple of weeks about the numbers from the institution, and so I know that the Drumheller Mail did some great work, as well as with Erica, to kind of confirm the numbers. So the institution has 13 active cases, and within Drumheller is 61, and those. Sorry, who was that?
That's you echoing back to yourself.
That's strange. So the total number for Drumheller is 61, of which 13 of those are from the penitentiary, and the rest of those are in the community. So we are the number 3 in the province for cases per 100,000 people right now. So there is a lot of spread in the community, and I think there's spread in special areas and Starland County. We're all kind of now becoming a bit more, I don't want to say immune, but a bit more relaxed. And as a result of it, we're now seeing more cases spread in the valley. And so I guess repeat our steps about making sure you wash, try to avoid contact with other people. So the idea of going out with all your friends for chicken wings on Wednesday sounds great, but wait a few more weeks. Because we are seeing a lot of people that are frequenting restaurants without any protection who are not from the same cohort or same family. So again, just because you can go out and eat in a restaurant doesn't mean that you can go out with all of council, as an example, unless all of council's just been isolated together. So just making sure that everyone remembers that. And then just the idea that, it's beautiful out right now, so get outside, do a little bit of walking around, but making sure that you're trying to keep a mask with you in case you encounter other people. The trail system is really good to see, especially with all of the clearing and grubbing we've been doing. And I see lots of people are actually walking and looking at that stuff. But just respect the fact that COVID's not going away anytime soon right now. If we're not going to all be respectful and try to manage it ourselves by staying low and masking up and making sure you're sanitizing and doing all those things. So there's been no word on whether or not when they're going to do step 3 of the program, but they don't want to advance anything because they feel that they would most certainly regress if they advance to step 3. They'd be having to go back to step 2. So they've decided to just be cautious and stay at step 2.
Okay, thank you, Daryl. Any comments? All right, well, yes, we all have to just keep being diligent. So let's look after ourselves out there. All right, well, we have a public hearing at 5:30, and we also have a closed session of flood mitigation update disclosure. So I think we will take this time. I will ask for a motion to go into closed session. At 5:30, we will come back out and do the public hearing. So the closed session is 416-1, disclosure harmful to business interests. So can I get a motion, please? Jay, Christine, second. All in favor? Carried. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the public hearing of bylaws 03.21, the ER boundary change. The open public hearing at 5:30 p.m. on March 22nd. This public hearing is in bylaws 03.21, environmental reserve boundary change. CAO Daryl will provide information about the bylaw. So I will get you to do that first, Daryl, please.
Sure, thank you very much, Your Worship. So the public hearing, we had first reading of this bylaw 2 weeks ago, and this was basically an adjustment of an environmental reserve to accommodate a land transaction on 10th Avenue Southeast, and then we also added an additional municipal reserve out to the public right of way so that we could actually access our ditching in the back of the properties. So we sent out notices to approximately 10 homeowners in that area, and we also advertised in the Drumheller Mail as well as on the Town of Drumheller website for the last 2 weeks. And basically, I think we haven't had any response to it at all. And so we're basically looking to have this public hearing, and then we would, if successful, we would bring back second and third readings in 2 weeks' time on April the 6th.
Thank you, Daryl. Denise, have we had any submissions of any sort? Denise?
Sorry, I think she's.
Hi, Denise. I just want to confirm, have we had any submissions of anything? Okay, then I don't have to go through the rules of conduct then for submissions. So does council have any final comments on this matter? Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, I was just curious a little bit about so the reason that we're doing this environmental reserve is to basically extend the lot size. And so that would create approximately what size of house on that property? And what I'm getting at is that when we originally started the Hillsview project, council was fairly in pretty good consensus that we wanted the houses to be in that area of what I would call a moderate size and a moderate price. And the price that we were looking at, and Jay, when he gets back, could kind of confirm this, was, I believe, the $300,000 to $350,000 variety. And I guess I'm just looking at the footprint of the possible house for this lot and speculating on how much that house might go for. And I'm just wondering if it would be, and I've noticed a number of the houses in that development are now considerably bigger and considerably more expensive than what council originally envisioned in that development. So I wonder if you could just comment on that a little bit, and again, maybe Councillor Garbett could comment on that as well. See if I'm out to lunch here, or that was our thinking from what I remember.
So what I recall, Tom, was that you're absolutely right. It was trying to have something that was a bit more moderate in price range, a bit more of an entry level. So around that 300 mark was the price point in 2015 when the first houses were built. So of course it's 2021 now. As we pointed out earlier, as you pointed out, the cost of everything goes up. So they're probably in that 320 range or so. One of the things that, so I guess a couple of points to make is that the properties on the south side of 10th Avenue all do not have an alley. So all of the garages are, if there are garages, are all attached garages. So if you're looking at the footprint of the property, it's going to include a 400 to 500 square foot garage as part of it that's attached. So The buildings are all generally about 1,300 to 1,400 square feet in size. So not, and seemingly that's what people are looking to build, more so than something a bit smaller. And I think the other thing of note, and I mentioned it during the first reading, is that the biggest change, and really the reason that this has come forward, is that the land use bylaw changed in 2016 after this subdivision was approved, and basically made front yard setbacks go from 6 meters from the property line to 7.6 meters from the property line. And that was to prevent vehicles like the F-350 Super Crew with a trailer hitch on the back from hanging over the public sidewalk and onto the road, forcing people to walk on the street. And so really, if this was a 6 meter setback on this property, we probably wouldn't be here today talking about this at all. But really, it was the change in the land use bylaw that's precipitated this specific one. And this property also, when it was contemplated, this lot was actually quite skewed on the west side of the property, and so this is just basically making that side yard setback a little bit more manageable, because of the 1.5 meter additional setback off the front.
Thanks, Daryl. Anybody else? Okay, well then I would like to declare the public hearing of bylaw 03.21 closed at 5:38 p.m. on March 22nd. Thank you, everyone. And now I would like a motion to go back into closed session and finish off the FOIP 16-1 disclosure harmful to business interests. And for all the listening public, after we are completed this, we will be done for the day. So thank you, everybody. Hope you and have a great week. And I would appreciate if you could share as much as you can with everybody you know, all the avenues that are available for the flood program. So council, can I get a motion, please? Tony, second. Fred, all in favor? Carried. Thank you, everyone. Have a great week and take care of yourself.